Hey y'all, it's me, CheesyPaninie. Have you ever found yourself in that mood where you kinda sorta feel like building in Terraria but you have no idea what you even want to build? Or maybe you do know what kind of build you want to do but you just want to spice things up a bit? Well, you came to the right video because I am gonna show you 22 building challenges you can do in Terraria. This list can apply to any platform, be it PC, console, or mobile. There are some parts of the challenges which would include items or features that are only available in 1.4 like pylons, but you can easily take those out and still do the challenges. Some of these challenges were challenges that I thought of, some were inspired by Minecraft YouTubers, and some were picked up from the Terraria community forums and the old K-topia Discord before it was dissolved. So yeah, I had been working on this video for a long time, but I never got around to finish it until today. I haven't done every challenge on this list, but I do plan to do most of them later down the line. Let's start with the easy ones. The first one is the No Paint Challenge. This is actually not much of a challenge at all since we all kind of start building without paint in the first place. But if you've become an advanced builder or a builder who has become quite dependent on paints, you might want to take up this challenge. Doing this challenge will force you to use alternative materials you may not have thought of using to compensate for the colors you won't be able to use. This has 3 other alternatives to it. The second version is the One Paint Challenge where you only use one paint all throughout your build. Equipping a paint sprayer and putting multiple buckets of paint in your inventory would be very useful for this. The third version is the Monochrome Challenge, which is technically similar to the One Paint Building Challenge, but the difference is with Monochrome, you can choose to use any paint or not use paint as long as it only has one hue. An example of this is one of the cakes I made in one of my food craving videos. The color and theme of the cake is brown, but I'm using deep orange paint for most of the build. The fourth version is the Grayscale Challenge, which is also like the previous one, but you can only use shadow, black, gray, white, and in some instances you may also use negative paint as long as it will appear in grayscale colors. You might also decide to not color it at all if the item is already black, white, or gray. Another easy challenge you can do is a challenge I like to call the Environmentalist Challenge, where you build on a naturally generated world and you have to conform your build to the natural formations while not destroying any blocks, walls, or items. And I understand that trying to avoid breaking pots or plants may be a little difficult when you swing your pickaxe around or place blocks, so depending on your preference, you can leave those as exceptions to the rules. Now let's go to the challenges with average difficulty. First we have the 3-day build challenge, which was created by Kabagera. This is actually the very first building challenge I ever took up in Terraria, and I found it in the Terraria community forums. The goal is to gather materials and create a build within 3 in-game days and 3 in-game nights using a new character and a new world. The challenge is done in classic mode, but you're free to change things up and try it out on different modes. Alternatively, you can change the number of days you will build, but keep the rest of the rules intact. I've seen YouTubers like Khaios who did a 2-day build challenge and a day 1 build challenge. Next, we have the permanent challenge, wherein you can't remove, repaint, or replace anything you've already placed on your build. I've actually done a similar challenge with Khaios, which we did on Arterria. The challenge we did on Arterria is a little bit more of a complex version of this and has a lot more rules to follow. It's also done with 2 or more people. Basically, the players will take turns building on the map until they all finish. This isn't really competitive in nature and really just a fun thing to do to see what kind of crazy creations you can make with your friends. For my playthrough with Khaios, we restricted our building area to 300 by 200 pixels wide and gave ourselves 5 turns each. Aside from this, we can only place 2,000 items per play session, as well as an option to place up to 200 wires or actuators and use up to 500 paint. You also cannot use pickaxes, hammers, wire cutters, paint scrapers, empty buckets, or sponges. You can't undo, repaint, or replace anything. And also, if you really want to spice things up, you can do what we did and try to leave traps all over the build to try and kill each other. Next, we have the 1 block challenge, which I first saw in Khaios channel, wherein you have to use only one type of block and its matching wall. Any sort of furniture, including platforms, beams, and such, can be used to make the house appear as though it has more block variety than it actually does. Alternatively, we have the no block challenge, and I know what you're thinking, is it even possible to build without any blocks? Yes, it is, and in fact, I did that challenge for my 5K subscriber milestone. You might not be able to make suitable NPC housing, but you can still create really interesting builds without any blocks. For the next challenge, we have the Randomizer challenge, where we pick random items to use for our builds. I don't know if anyone's ever made a randomizer specifically for Terraria, but since I can't find one at the moment, what you can do is Google random number generator and write down the range 1 to 315 for the wall ID and the range 1 to 623 for tile ID. The wall ID will determine your walls, while the tile ID will determine your blocks and furniture. To see what item you get, you can search the list of wall IDs and tile IDs in the Terraria Gamepedia. A Terraria YouTuber by the name of Jebbins had actually gone so far as to create a randomizer in-game to pick random items and paint, which he uses for his Build Roulette challenge. Another challenge you can take on is the Wands Only challenge, where you can make a build using blocks and materials you can get from wands. You can choose to use all of the wands or just one specific wand, depending on your preference. If you want to use furniture and walls, they must be made from the material that corresponds to the wand you use. It's also up to you if you want to use paint. Now let's move on to the more difficult challenges. The first one on the list is the Anti-Material Challenge. For this challenge, the goal is to create a build using the materials that are different from the usual material you would use. An example of this is building a wooden house without using any wood, or making a cave without using any dirt or stone, but it must still look convincing enough to pass as what you're intending it to look like. The next challenge is something I like to call the Spiderman build challenge, because for this challenge, you have to use the gravitation potion to make yourself walk upside down while building. This is not to be confused with another build challenge I made up, which is the upside down build challenge, wherein you attempt to build something that is upside down. Alternatively, you could also do the tilted build challenge, where you attempt to make a build diagonally like this. I just found the concept really interesting and very unusual. You could actually end up with some really interesting builds this way. I've seen a couple of people do them on Pinterest, but I don't think that many people do them. The next challenge is not difficult because of how you do it, but because of the amount you have to do. And that challenge is the All NPC Housing challenge. For this challenge, you simply have to build a house for every NPC in the game, and it can't just be like one big building with multiple rooms. They have to be legitimate houses which may or may not have a theme. And because of the recent addition of pylons, you can take this challenge one step further by building the houses in the specific biomes the NPCs are happy in. And of course, let's not forget the one challenge that I've been doing for 4 years and still haven't finished, the All Biome challenge. I've actually only done the surface version, and I have yet to do the underground version. The thing is about this challenge is, when I started it, my channel was very small and I had very little experience with Terraria and making building challenges, so I kind of made up the rules as I go. It was in the middle of the challenge that I realized some rules had to go or had to be changed, but it was already too late to change them because I've already started it that way. So the rules that I'll be showing you guys would be the original compared side by side with the revised. You are free to do the challenge any way you prefer. You can use everything found in the biome, including event items obtained while building with silk, iron ore, gel, wood, crafting stations and mechanisms as special exceptions. I made those exceptions so that you would be able to craft beds, torches, and chests with no problem, but then I realized that this means you won't be able to use certain furniture like bookcases, sinks, and pianos because they need books and water, so I revised it to remove those items but let you use every furniture and items that are related to the materials you can obtain from the biome and the events that occur when you're building, like the blood moon and so on. However, I still retain the mechanisms as a special item exception. The build requirements are the same, in which they both must have at least one bed, one storage item, and you must be able to save on the bed because it's not a very effective base if it doesn't have them, you know? You can obtain items within or before the time limit in the actual map, in a different map, or by using mods and editors for both versions. In the original, I banned paint and custom items, but in the revised, paint is now optional. In the original, we have a 1 hour time limit, which is now optional in the revised. Spawns have always been on in the original, but now optional in the revised. Now the most important part, the biome list. So in the original, there are 25 biomes, while in the revised, there are only 19. This is because I removed the variations of deserts and just put one instead and let people decide which type of desert they want to work on. The same goes for the snow and their underground versions. The reason for this is because the materials for the corrupt, crimson, and hollow versions are kind of similar and don't produce any furniture that is unique to them, so it doesn't make sense to keep them there. I also removed the space, meteorite, and floating island biomes because the space biome doesn't even have anything in it. The meteorite is more of a mini biome, and the floating island is a treasure room and is similar to the forest biome except it had clouds and sunplate blocks. Now I also listed down mini biomes and treasure rooms below, and it's up to you if you want to combine them with the main biomes, which I did with some of my videos to make it more interesting. And also, glowing moss is considered a biome, but since there wasn't many interesting items on it, I just left it out of the main list. But you can mix it with the other biomes if you want. Anyways, let's move on to the challenges that I consider insane. There are only 2 challenges placed under this difficulty, and these are challenges I probably would never do myself. That's just how insane I think they are. So the first one is a challenge that Khaios has actually done already, and that is the Builds with Bosses challenge, wherein you have to build something while fighting off a boss. It's crazy and nerve-wracking, and I don't want to ever do this challenge at all. Kudos for him for actually attempting it though. The second one is based on a challenge Smallish Beans has done in Minecraft, wherein they build a house using every block. Now if we do the same thing in Terraria, which would make it an every blocks and walls challenge, I think that would be even harder. For one thing, there would be significantly more materials to work with than in Minecraft, and it would be very difficult to make a build that would look coherent. But I do think it's possible to do, it's just I don't think I want to do it. However, I really want to see someone out there in the Terraria community to actually attempt this challenge. It doesn't have to be a house, it can be any build you want. If I see someone accomplish this, I might consider trying this myself, but I'm not making any promises. Now I know some of these challenges have very specific rules, but if you feel like changing them up, go right ahead. These are mostly just guidelines and you just do you, boo. Anyways, that's it for now. I hope you guys found some of these challenges interesting. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more content, and let me know down in the comments below which challenge you're interested in taking on. So for now, I'm just gonna go do my thing, and you guys do your thing, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy, stay cheesy.